Anything else? Just try to feel the breath touching the tip of your nose as it goes in and it goes out. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your mouth closed. Let your lungs do the work. Let your lungs breathe in and then breathe out. You don't have to force the breath. Okay. Eyes closed. No moving. Once you get your position, just hold it still. Okay, very good. So now you're ready to listen and think. Okay, no talking. All right, the essay topic for this year is going to be right view. Okay, so my job is to explain to you what right view is so you can write something in the essay about it. So let's start from the very beginning. We'll start from the beginning. We're a Buddhist camp, so what did the Buddha teach? Well, he taught a lot of things, and as you go through this summer camp, you're going to learn more and more about what he taught. Catherine? What? What? Okay. Okay, that's something he taught. Anybody else have some ideas what he taught? You forgot everything you learned from past camps, right? Okay. Well, the Buddha was often asked what he taught, and his followers were asked, what did the Buddha teach? And the simplest, direct answer is that he taught the Four Noble Truths. Because everything else he taught is included under the Four Noble Truths. So the straight answer is he taught the Four Noble Truths, and then when you want to talk about more complicated things, then they come under one of the Four Noble Truths. Okay, he didn't teach outside of this. He saw his task is to train humans to become enlightened, and that was all he wanted to teach. There was a lot more he could have taught, and other people criticized him for not teaching more, but his job was to teach how to reach enlightenment. Okay, and do you all remember what the Four Noble Truths are? Okay. Some of you haven't had it, so let me just go through the slide, Shannon. Thank you. Okay. The first noble truth is suffering, right? That suffering exists in every life. Not only human lives, but animal lives too. The second noble truth is that this suffering has a cause. And we usually say simply it's craving. And the third noble truth is suffering can be ended. So you don't have to continue life after life suffering. At some point, there is a way it can be ended. And there is a way to end the suffering, and that's following the Eightfold Path. Okay, so we have a lot of numbers in Buddhism. Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. That's the fourth truth, that the way to ending the suffering is the Eightfold Path. How many of you studied the Eightfold Path? Okay, not everyone. All right, now, the Four Noble Truths, in more modern terms, instead of the sort of the old language, is, whoops, sorry, is life has stress. Okay, some people don't feel comfortable saying suffering, but so some people just say life can be stressful. No one likes stress either. Suffering or stress, whatever you call it, is not very pleasant. And then greed is the cause of stress. So we can reverse them around. If you want to be greedy, then you're going to create stress for yourself. And then the stress can be ended, and there is a way to end that stress. Okay? And that's the Eightfold Path again. So we want to talk about the fourth noble truth, which is the Eightfold Path. Okay? And so we divide the Eightfold Path into three groups. First group is called the Wisdom group. Consists of right view, which you are going to write about this year. Then right intention. Then the next group is called the morality group. Okay, proper behavior. And that would be right speech, right action, and right livelihood. I'm not going to explain each of these because we're just going to focus on the first one. But just to give you the whole picture. Then the concentration group comes next. That consists of right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Okay, so these are the 8 steps of the Eightfold Path. And what you'll see as you come back year after year is that we're going to take each one of these in turn as the topic for the essay. So guess what the topic will be next year? Yeah. Right intention. That'll be, so when you have head start. If you want to work on that essay during the year, you can do that. And then what about the year after next? 2019. What's the right speech. Okay? And if any of you get all the way to right concentration, that means you've been there for 8 years. And you'll probably be an instructor then, not a student. All right, so again, the essay topic this year is what? Yes, right view. Okay. So then the question comes up, what is, before we say what right view is, we have to say what is a view? Okay? So, what is a view? Well, view is very simple. It's not that complex. It's something that you believe or not. Okay? So, you say, I don't know. Someone asks you to believe this, and you say, I don't know. Probably you don't believe it, then it's the opposite. Also, it's the way you see yourself in the world around you. Okay, so, say, I see myself being a good student. I want to go to college, and so on. How do you fit in the world right now? The dictionary describes view as a mode or manner of looking at or regarding something, okay, or an opinion or a judgment called by the feeling or bias of its holder. So, in my view, this camp is the greatest, or in my view, you all are going to have a great time. Okay, so it's not very complex and very concrete. Okay, but why is it important? Why is your view important? Why would it even be one of the steps in the Eightfold Path? Eightfold Path. Why is view important? Sorry. Because your view, what you believe in, defines your goals and your duties as you see them. Okay, all of you have a view of maybe what your duty is. Your duty right now may be to be a good student, but as you get older, you may have to have another view of what you're going to do in life. Okay, so, and that defines your goals and your duties. Okay, a lot of you already feel you have a duty to your parents, right? So the view is important because it determines your actions. Now, the word actions in Buddhism is equal to karma, or kamma. What acts you do is karma, and it creates results. Okay, so karma could be intentional physical action. You have a view, let's say a bad view, wrong view, for someone you don't like, and you see that person and you want to hit them, and you hit them. Okay, that's an intentional act. It's driven by your view that you don't like that person, and so you hit them. You're doing it intentionally. That's going to be your karma, and someday the result will come out and affect you. Okay, intentional verbal action, intentional mental action. 3 ways, 3 kinds of karma. Okay, so I'm going to try to categorize kinds of views. This is not scientific, but it seemed to make sense for this talk. Okay, so one obvious view is your political, your patriotic view, right? A lot of people believe the country comes first, country above all else. A lot of people in the military and the government feel that way. Democrats versus Republicans, your political party is your particular view of how the government should be run. Capitalism versus socialism. In this country, we generally all use capitalism, but in other countries they use socialism. Okay, and your view might color your duty to your country. How much are you willing to do for your country? Then there are just social views of one's relations to other beings. For example, your duty to your family. Okay, that's a relationship with your mother, your father, your sisters, brothers, and even beyond, grandparents. Sports. A lot of people consume a lot of their life involved in sport, even as sports fans. So some people have a view that football, basketball, and baseball is very important in their life. And then physical appearance. A lot of people believe that they have to look good, or they have to be beautiful. And we know this because the cosmetic industry makes so much money. So people are buying their stuff, their makeup. Entertainment. A lot of people are big movie star fans, and that's their view of life, is that it's following the movie stars or movies. It's important. Your view of your vocation. Some people feel they have to be wealthy, or some people take on their family craft, which might be cooking, or being in the military. A lot of families have generations and generations of soldiers. The view of race. Again, racial prejudice and bias is a view. And gender, misogyny, not treating women well, treating them badly. That's a view. Unequal, unfair treatment of women. Religious views. Again, highest priority for a lot of people is their duty to their God. Okay, we don't have that as Buddhists because we don't have that belief in a supreme being. But most Christians do, and most Muslims do, and Jewish people do. Institutional views. The government and global corporations, they all have views that serve their self-interest, and they try to get their employees, people who work for them, to adopt those views or believe in those views. And then you have folk views. I call it folk views, for lack of a better term. But it's sometimes, it usually comes from people in your family or people you know. They say, follow your dreams. How many of you heard, how many are told to follow your dreams? You know, you say you don't know what you want to do as an adult. They say, follow your dreams. If you like music, you want to be a musician. If you like art, be an artist, and so on. Never give up. How many of you heard that? Never give up. You know, that's a common folk view. Be whatever you want to be. A lot of you heard of that, right? And embrace beauty and style. All the advertisement on TV and magazines want you to follow the style and beauty of the day. Finding true love. I mean, if you listen to a lot of fictional stories and television series, you would think that the purpose of life is to find true love. And then seek the truth. This is what a lot of scientists believe. You know, that's their view. I'm not saying it's false, but that's their view. They want the truth. Or a lot of maybe people who work for the FBI or CIA, they want to find the truth. And then there's a duty to self. Okay. Any others you think of? Okay. I wouldn't be able to see you if you raised your hand anyway. All right, so effect of the views is your goal, your life goals and actions are affected by your views. You may want to, as a result of views, you may want to become wealthy, or you want to become smart. I have a friend who, he's smart, so he thinks everyone else should be smart. He criticizes people who aren't smart. He likes to point out, you know, how in certain situations people weren't very smart. Finally, I couldn't hold back. And I said, the Buddhist teaching is not trying to be smart that's important. It's trying to be wise. You could be smart, but you could cause a lot of trouble for people. Who was the smartest person in the world? Albert Einstein. A lot of people will say Albert Einstein is the smartest person who ever lived in our last couple of centuries. But did you know Albert Einstein wasn't necessarily very wise? He promoted the atomic bomb. Because of him, 200 or 300,000 people were killed. Yes, Captain. What? You're right. I would agree that the Buddha was one of the smartest people ever, because he already anticipated the scientific discoveries that Einstein made. He already anticipated quantum mechanics. He developed the principle of uncertainty. He knew all about the brain and consciousness, which hasn't yet been developed in psychology, but he already knew about it. Okay, what else do we want? Again, because of your views, you may want to become beautiful or handsome. You may want to become the best. Best what? Well, best physicist, best doctor, best teacher. You know, because of your views, you may be driven to want to be the best. Not good enough to be in the middle. You just want to be the best. Or you may want to become happy. Again, depends how your views came about. And to help others. That's another view. Not all these views are bad. But I just want you to understand what a view is, okay? Now, how do we get our views? Were you born with these views? Don't think so. Any infants in the room, we can ask them what their views are. Okay? You usually get them from your family, right? Very early influences your mother, your father. telling you you don't want to be a doctor, do you? Or something else. They'll tell you want to be happy, and that's a view you pick up. Your friends have views, and they influence you. That's why you have to be careful who your friends are, because you're often influenced by their views, unconsciously. Church. For Christians, the church gives them their views. Brainwashing, for example, in basic military training, it's essential to convert these soldiers to killers. They have to be, you take in people who are maybe like us, but then they have to convert them to be able to kill. Propaganda from books, media, for example, movies, TV, from the internet, and social media. There's a lot of propaganda in this last election. The Russians used the internet and social media to try to persuade people to vote, not vote for Hillary Clinton, but vote for Trump. Political party, again, gives you views. Both parties have very strong views. And then schooling. What do you think schooling is? Yeah, you go to learn. You go to a school to learn, right? Anybody here doing home studies? Okay, well, you get your parents' view from that, but schooling is where a large group of students, large group of children go to learn. And that's an opportunity to sort of persuade them to think a certain way from the government's point of view. Okay, so this is Ivan Illich, who wrote a book called Deschooling Society. He was in South America, so he's dealing with the South American government. So that's the context he's writing in, but a lot of it applies to any society. So he said the pupil is thereby schooled to confuse teaching with learning. Just because someone teaches you doesn't mean you learned anything, right? Great advancements with education, but just because you get promoted every year doesn't mean you really learned anything. A diploma with confidence. There are a lot of people who have high school diplomas and they really don't know what they're supposed to know. Fluency with the ability to speak something new. So just because someone speaks well or writes well doesn't necessarily mean that they have something important to say. His imagination is schooled to accept institutional service in place of value. So in other words, again, the government is providing these services which they control. And they need the citizens to accept it and appreciate it. So for example, medical treatment given by the government is sometimes mistaken for health care. It may not be good health care, it's just medical treatment for something. It may not be effective. Social work for the improvement of community life, and police protection for safety. That's one that's even in America is a problem, right? How many of you heard about police shooting innocent people? Some people think just because they have a police force, they're safe. If you're in certain communities and you're black, you're not safe from the police, and they're not there to protect you. And just because we have military strength, that doesn't mean we have national security. So again, if the Russians really did interfere with our elections, it doesn't matter that we have this military might, they're able to get around it a different way. And the rat race for productive work. So if you have a job where you're always busy, you're writing papers and things like that, it doesn't mean that the work you're doing is that productive, but you're working. Okay, so what is Buddha's advice? Buddha's advice came from a sutta called Kalama Sutta. So remember, we're all Theravada Buddhists here. At least this monastery is Theravada Buddhist monastery. So we teach is Theravada Buddhism. And Theravada Buddhism is different from other Buddhists because we want to follow what the Buddha taught. So we have to know what the Buddha taught to follow it. Other forms of Buddhism many times are simply following other followers of the Buddha, but not the Buddha directly. So they have no clue what the Buddha really said. They're relying on someone to interpret it. All right, so the Buddha himself said, don't judge, don't make your decisions just by reports, because reports are biased by the writer of the report, by legends, which again are biased by the culture, by traditions, again that's cultural, and it could be many years old, centuries old. By scripture, for example, if you're Christian, you can't just assume the Bible is truth, although Christians do assume it's completely true. For us, we wouldn't accept it as the truth. By logical conjecture, just because you can think logically and put it in a logical sequence doesn't mean it's true. It may not have all the correct assumptions. By inference, so for example, you may make a judgment because you're inferring maybe danger to yourself if you don't agree with it. Something like that, I'll lose my job if I don't agree with this. By analogies, saying if something similar happened, then it'll probably happen again. by agreement through pondering views, so you look at different views and you just agree with one or more of them. By probability, just saying what are the odds that this view is right and this view is wrong. We don't calculate that. And then by the thought, this contemplative is our teacher. So you're saying this is our guru, so whatever he says, we believe in. Okay, the Buddha said, ignore that. Don't think that way. It's to your danger. The Buddhist advice was, when you know for yourself that these qualities are unskillful, that means unwholesome, that these qualities are blameworthy, these qualities are criticized by the wise, these qualities, when adopted and carried out, lead to harm and suffering, then you should abandon those views. Okay, it doesn't make any sense to cling to them. So again, criticized by the wise. And so if you're ever in doubt, you want to consult with other people who you think are smarter than you and maybe more experienced, then you ask them their opinion. And if you talk to people who adopted those views and they've suffered from it, then you want to know that too, because you don't want to adopt that view. All right, so another view is just doing good. And this is an extreme. Some people go, this book was written by Larissa Mafarkor, called Strangers Drowning, and she talked about people who reach out to help people who seem to be drowning in life. So some people go to great lengths to help others, and even at the cost of high personal cost, the couple who adopts 20 orphans. Can you imagine adopting 20 kids? And what if they were all special needs kids? The woman who donates a kidney to a stranger, that means a full operation to get that kidney out. The man who starts a leper colony, in this case in India. So this is what the book is about. I'd like to play you just a short excerpt, a short clip. Just to give you a sense.
This is Forum. I'm Michael Krasny. In this hour, we're going to talk about something called the psychology of extreme altruism, or do-gooderism. And do-gooderism doesn't mean just doing good. It means doing good in a sense of duty or higher calling, or a commitment that sometimes goes beyond, let's say, what we normally associate with do-goody. It's uber do-goody, or something along those lines. And Larissa Parker has written a book all about this, profiling people who fall into this category. She's a staff writer for the New Yorker and author of the book. It's called Strangers Drowning, Grappling with Impossible Idealism, Drastic Choices, and the Overpowering Urge to Help. And good to have you with us on Forum. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, I put the question to listeners earlier, people who adopt 20 kids or give a kidney to a stranger or start a leper colony. This is not necessarily what we think of as ordinary human behavior. I want to talk about some of these people that you profile here specifically. And in many cases, we're talking about people who put obviously their own needs, but even the needs of their family or their community behind being altruistic for others in a general sense. They're wired differently, you think, than we are? Or are they just a different subgenre of humanity?
I don't think they're wired differently. I think we would like to think they were, because that would let us off the hook, right? These are different people, and we can't hope to do what they do. But the impression I have from talking to these people is that though they do extraordinary things that most of us couldn't imagine doing, they're the same as us. You mentioned the couple who adopted 20 kids in addition to the 2 biological kids they had. I thought before I met them, these must be the kind of people who embrace chaos, who love the feeling of having just stuff going on all over the place, and noise and craziness and all kinds of stuff. No, they're just like the rest of us. They're driven crazy by chaos too. But they overcome that because they think there are all these children who need a family, who need parents, and we can give them a home. And so we're going to put up with a little chaos.
They look at children and say,
I'm sorry?
They look at certain children and say, they belong to us, we belong to them. That's almost a sense of a connection right away, even just looking at certain children.
Yes, and this was. I talked to a number of people besides the Buddhas who adopted special needs kids, and many of them said that they would look through. They have not catalogs exactly, but they have publications with pictures of children who need families, and you look through the photographs, and all of them describe this feeling of coming across certain photographs and thinking, that's my child. I need to go get that child. They're somehow not with me, and I need to go pick them up.
Okay, so how did they pick the children they wanted to adopt? From a picture book, right? And then when they spotted a child, they were somehow connected to that child, right? How do you explain that? Any explanation? There's a Buddhist explanation for that. The parents and that child were in the same family or were very close in a previous life or past life. It somehow comes out in this life. That's the Buddhist explanation. Okay. Here's another view. People who become monks, monastics. That's a big decision that requires a certain view of life, a very strong view of what life is about. This is a picture of my teacher in Thailand. He isn't Thai, he's actually German. And he had a very strong view about becoming a monk. It wasn't from the very start, but when he was in Germany as a child, he was very interested in meditation. And he didn't like school. So I think I don't know if he dropped out of high school or not, but he went off to India to meditate. And he spent many years in India meditating. Finally, he decided he wanted to become a monk. And he went to Thailand to become a monk. Turns out one of his friends, who was sort of a fortune teller, many years ago told him that he would do that. And even told him which monk he would study under. And it all came true. But anyway, that's a view. So we have views. Now, your essay is on what? Right view. So now we have to know what right view is, okay? Now the Buddha did talk about right view. And so he said, right view, the basic right view that most people will identify would be karma, believing in karma, that your actions will bear fruits, bad karma, bad actions, bad results, okay? And believing in rebirth, that's a view, okay? You know, if someone has a view that they don't believe in rebirth, then they believe in the opposite, okay? That basically everything ends with this life. Wholesomeness, maintaining the 5 precepts, okay? So if you see a view that violates the 5 precepts, you know, that's, for Buddhists anyway, a wrong view. Non-greed, non-aversion or hate, and non-delusion. These are part of right view. So that's very simple, okay? 5 precepts, you all remember the 5 precepts? You all said them this morning, but you said it in Pali. In English, it would be to abstain from killing, to abstain from taking what is not given, to avoid sexual misconduct, to abstain from false speech, and to abstain from intoxicating drink that causes heedlessness. Okay, so a lot of people who aren't Buddhists believe it's okay to drink wine or to drink beer. I mean, that's a particular view. As a Buddhist, you would not agree with that. Okay. The more advanced right view is seeing the world in terms of the Four Noble Truths. Okay. Knowledge or insight of the Four Noble Truths, knowing knowledge with regard to stress, knowledge with regard to the origination of stress, knowledge with regard to the cessation of stress, knowledge with regard to the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. So that's the very advanced right view. So we'll just deal with the more basic right view. What about wrong view? You need to know that, right? That's the opposite of right view. So that would involve, opposite right view would be violating the precepts, greed, a view with including greed, a view of aversion or hate, and a view of delusion and ignorance. So wrong view examples would be the military. The purpose of the military is to kill. For-profit or corporations. their purpose is to make a profit. That's greed. They want more and more profit. Otherwise, their shareholders will be dissatisfied. So drug companies, manufacturing companies, companies who engage in misleading advertising, misleading sales representations, manipulating financial data, fraudulent claims, and promises. Okay, another wrong view would be unquestioned loyalty to persons or organizations. And then another wrong view is called YOLO, which stands for you only live once. Catherine. You only live once is the view that when you die, that's it. There's nothing more. Okay, so if you only live once, usually what follows that, let's do something crazy, let's do something bad, because you only live once. That's usually the argument to get someone to do something they really don't want to do. Okay? Now for you, who are in high school or college, this book is for you. It's called Excellent Sheep. And you're in a particularly vulnerable period of your life when you have to decide what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And usually there's no turning back. And so what this book argues is that the colleges are part of a process of indoctrinating you. They want you to believe that their university is the best, so you'll continue to donate to it after you graduate. But they also tend to favor certain departments that get more money. They favor certain companies that give money to the university, so encourage students to do internships with those companies. So you have to keep your eyes open even when you're in college. You can't assume that whatever the college arranged for you is in your best interest. All right, finally, the essay. This is not an open essay. Okay, so I'm trying to make it easy for you. First, list and describe some of your past views. Your past views. I'm not asking you to confess to your present views. Just maybe in the past when you're younger and less mature, what kind of views did you have then? And then, for example, what were your goals, perception of your goals and duties in your life? And then the next thing is, how did you learn those views? What was the source of those views? From your parents? From school? From a relative? Where do those views come from? And then, for each of those views, describe it, explain why it might be a wrong view or a right view. Maybe the wrong view was involved too much greed, or too much passion, or something like that. Okay, any questions about the essay? Yeah. Not all of them, but some of them. What do you think, what is your goal in life at this stage of your life? Or a couple of years ago, what did you think your goal was? A couple of years ago, what did you think your responsibilities were in life? Take care of your parents or your sister, brother, or whatever? Okay. Any other questions? Yes? How long is the essay supposed to be? I don't know. Benson, do you know how long the essay is?
3.
1 page? Okay, maybe we should let your teachers tell you what they want. Okay. Any other questions back there? Yes? I'm sorry, I can't hear. Quiet, please. Okay, so most views, it's easier to spot a wrong view than a right view. So you can say this view involved greed, or this involved aversion, or this involved some kind of delusion or ignorance. The more specific might have violated one of the precepts. That's an easier time to spot. This involved harsh speech, or this involved intoxicating drink, or something like that. It's not that easy. Not a real easy exercise, but it's a good exercise to think about the way you're thinking and examine your own mind. Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, so I wanted to practice with you. So here I'm going to give you. This is the trailer from a movie And then I want you, just based on the trailer, tell me what you think the views of this character is. His name is Rudy.
After high school, I'm going to play football at Notre Dame.
Chasing a stupid dream causes nothing but you and everyone around you heartache.
The problem with dreamers is they usually are not doers.
I'm fully aware of the sacrifices you have for the most beautiful campus in the world.
Having dreams is what makes life tolerable.
Your dream is for rich kids, smart kids, great athletes. It's not for us.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to go to school here. And ever since I was a kid, everybody said it couldn't be done. I always listened to them, believe what they said. I don't want to do that anymore.
Hey, kid! Not supposed to be here.
Not everyone is meant to go to college. I need your help.
Why should I help you?
I just want to be a part of this university.
You're nuts.
You know, a lot of people have been telling me that lately.
Sometimes a winner is a dreamer who just won't quit.
I'm here to play football for the Irish.
Wish God could put your heart in some of my players' bodies.
You're 5 feet nothing, 100 and nothing, and you got hardly a speck of athletic ability. In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself. A true story from the creators of Hoosiers.
Ready, Chair? I've been ready for this my whole life.
Okay, so what were some of the views he expressed, or you could see in him? Pretty obvious. What were some of his views? Not asking for all of them. Sorry. So what? Anybody watch this? Play. All right. What view did he have? Just give me one view that he had. Catherine.
Saw him helping carrying and stuff, and he really wanted to be, and he wouldn't give up, so I think he has keep trying, don't give up.
Definitely. In fact, I think he said that, or someone said it, that he would never give up. What about more generally? Where did he want to go? He wanted to go to college. It was Notre Dame, which is the famous football school. And how about his father? Did his family support that view? No. His father said college wasn't for him. And certainly playing football for Notre Dame wasn't for him, or for people like him. So it's pretty easy to see he had a strong passion, right? Passion is a form of greed. He wanted to become a football player, wanted to go to Notre Dame. Don't think he broke any of the precepts. He wasn't strong enough to kill anyone on the football field. Anything else? Maybe ignorance. Ignoring the obvious. Okay, so that was an easy exercise, right? So you have plenty to write if you're a football player or you want to play football for Notre Dame. Okay, so again, this is what you should be putting on your essay. What were some of, in this case, if you were asked to analyze Rudy, you'd say, what were some of Rudy's views? Where did he get this view from? He didn't get it from his family, did he? So it must have been from a friend or watching something on television, school, maybe a coach said the best thing you could do is go play football for Notre Dame, and he believed it. Or he maybe met someone who played football for Notre Dame, maybe a relative did, and was bragging about what a great experience it was, and so he wanted to imitate him. Okay, so again we talked about his wrong view, being sort of greedy, and passionate about playing football. And I don't know what his right view was. He didn't, like I said, it's going to be more difficult to find the right view, and if you can't come up with it, then you don't have to write about it, or just say you couldn't see any right views. Okay, so here's another one. Now this is a religious view.
It is allowed, in the name of religion, he who comes to kill you, be first to kill you. Defend yourself. But to simply go and kill someone in the name of religion, this does not exist. There is a need to understand that for us, the Jewish law says that we should never attack a nation in order to conquer it. It is true that for defense, at times, it is necessary to shoot, and necessary at times to kill. And I, as a commander, did this. Always when someone believes he has strength to face hardships, because he has something to lean on, and this provides a lot of strength. In the war, I remember when we were fighting, I was in the tank operation unit, and through the periscope, I looked at the enemy to aim at the target. One guy came up to us who was not a believer, and said, "I am envious of you. When I look through the periscope, I can only see my wife and children, and so it is hard for me to see. So belief," he said, "gives you strength."
Okay, so what were some of the views in here? Anybody else besides Catherine? Didn't anyone spot an obvious view that this rabbi held that we don't? Yes, in back.
He believed himself.
I'm sorry?
He believed himself.
I can't hear you.
He believed himself.
He believed in himself.
Yes.
Okay. What else did he believe? It was right at the beginning. It was something obvious.
Family.
He believed in his family. That was the non-believer who believed in his family, which is kind of strange. This is a rabbi. This is a rabbi who kills. Killing is all right to him. Now, is killing all right for Buddhists? No, not for any reason. Not for self-defense. He said for self-defense you can kill. He said for self-defense you can kill others. And we don't believe that at all. So that's one obvious view. Another view was strange. He said when he looks through the periscope to aim his tank, he sees the enemy very clearly. Whereas the non-believer, someone who apparently is not Jewish, said, when I look through that periscope to shoot someone, when I see that person, I can only think of my own family. He probably doesn't pull the trigger. And we know the source of these views, apparently, as a rabbi, he's telling you what the Jewish religion believed in. Okay? So that's to me, a real clear case. Now, I'm not going to show this to you, and my wife told me I shouldn't show it to you after I told her what I'm going to do. Anyone know what a sniper is?
Yes.
Yeah. What does a sniper do?
Yes.
Kill. Sniper kills. So what's the view of a sniper? To kill. And it's unwholesome. It violates the precepts. So it would be a wrong view for us. Okay, but it's a right view for him. He thinks that because he's defending his American soldiers and friends, he can kill. That gives him a license to kill. The reason I'm not going to show it to you is because the violence, while not graphic in the trailer, is implied, and so I don't want to give any of you nightmares. Okay, so we'll skip this one. Okay, where did this guy? Oh, by the way, Chris Kyle had the most kills. He has set the record for kills, and he killed children and old people, and that's why I didn't want to show you the trailer. But bad karma, right? And you know what happened to him? He was killed. Someone shot him. Before the movie was even completed, he was killed.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's real karma. All right, here's a patriotic view. Now you have to pay attention to this because you might have to go through something very similar to what this person had to go through. Catherine? He did. In the war, in the Iraq War. But he was killed in the U.S. by U.S. soldiers.
Wait, what?
So Kyle was killed in the U.S. after he returned from Iraq. And he was killed by a U.S. soldier he was trying to help.
What? How? Why did he kill them? How? Did you just get like shot in the face?
It's so outdated. Basically,
Sorry, we have a technical problem here. Great. Yeah, start at the beginning. Okay, pay attention now. There are two people in this film clip. Thanks. What countries recruit 16-year-olds? Some of you here are 16-year-olds or older. Iran, in the United Kingdom, that's England. Great Britain, they actually.
so outdated. Basically, children. Training is killing.
I'm really films in the one that I think about how we solve the army and the people.
I feel like I've obviously fairly questionable stuff.
Places for the people, for the laughs.
Medications. These are antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills for panic attacks, brought on by PTSD.
How long will you go on taking this medication?
For the rest of life. You don't tell me that in the reason.
Does your job get the best out of you?
You sit you down in the recruitment office and give you brochures, all the good about it.
I read the brochure, decided to join the army because of that.
The sort of propaganda is really effective, to a kid.
For the action, for excitement, for adventure.
He shows all the pictures of his edge training, like outside and skiing. You don't show them those glamorous ones. Being so young, I was easily manipulated.
What did your parents say when you said it was true?
My mum was devastated. My mum was gutted. She was in tears.
The army were aware that parents and guardians may be stopping people from joining the army by throwing out concerns about their welfare. Post-traumatic stress was definitely one of those conditions. So the army drafted us in to work on that particular communications problem.
want to do. So reluctantly she signed the consent forms, and off I went. In May 99, we got deployed to Kosovo. I was 19 then, so that was quite an eye-opener.
Because the Army has left horror in its wake.
You smell bodies, burned bodies. When you smell that smell, you never use it.
You're never using words like kill or maim. They will put people off. So you have to find different ways to express those concepts. The divorce between the language and the actuality starts becoming a problem when you start thinking about your audience.
I then went to Iraq in 2005. When you're so young, you just can't comprehend what's going on. And my mum said when I come back I wasn't the same after that. Just over
2006 it was we met, so yeah, 27.
Yeah, I'd only been back from Iraq about so long, something like that. I was suffering with really bad nightmares, like night terrors, about things I'd seen.
He was having anxiety attacks, couldn't breathe properly.
I was drinking bottles of vodka at the time, as quick as I could, get leather.
For the fun, for the friendships, for the Friday nights.
Trying to just get myself away from the mental torture of PTSD.
I left school and I went to work on a checkout. Beep, beep, beep. I didn't start growing until I joined the army.
The most important part of this is learning a trade. So if you're a parent or a guardian, your kid's going to go into the army, but they aren't going to learn the soldiers, they're going to learn a trade that they can use in civilian life.
I got an MDQ in the armed services. I thought, where's that going to benefit me?
Get paid, get qualified, army learning, different class.
You've got to really start from the bottom again. And when you've got no money or anything, you've got no money or pride, so it just spirals into depression.
And how real is all this? The family aspect of the day-to-day, the day-to-day life, the training?
That's kind of the wrong question, because it's not a question of reality, because everything in here is real. The thing that you want to be thinking about is the emphasis.
Doesn't show someone with a head one, does it? Or, whose child is being killed. Doesn't show that.
There's a positive emphasis placed throughout the whole of it. So they feel positive about the army. They feel positive about the army, how the army is helping. They feel positive about the army training. They feel positive about learning a trade. They feel positive about daily life in the army. They feel positive about life on the front line. And they feel positive about the feeling of pride.
It's not. It's deception. They don't tell you the downsides of it. So, when you're so young, so being so young, you don't know what you're doing.
Initially, that didn't worry me, because we were answering a communications problem, and that was the appropriate way to speak to people of that age group. But as time wore on, I started thinking to myself, should we be speaking to this age group at all?
I felt it.
didn't have anything to guide him, did he? He didn't know what to do with his life. He thought he'd read a brochure, it looked like fun, right? The movie showed them having parties and going out and drinking and being patriotic. Yes?
And I also thought that, like, I also heard that he, like, it's almost like when you read a brochure about that.
Right. And so what was the problem with those brochures and all the movies they showed him? Yeah.
So they were fake. Because in the army they want to make it look good.
Yeah.
And then when you actually fight in the army, it's doing the mask, so they don't want it in there.
Right.
Because they want to promote people to join the army instead of not.
Right. Remember, he said something about they never showed someone's head blown off. They never showed a baby being killed. And those are things he saw when he joined the army. So he didn't do his homework and get the information. What did the Buddha advise?
Not to kill.
Not to kill, but what did he say when you're in a situation like that where you don't have enough information? You're trying to make a decision. You're trying to say whether you want to adopt this view of joining the army.
Not to do it.
Yes?
If it has somebody else after they have that vision,
Right.
if it affects them in a bad way,
Right.
then don't have that.
Right. Because just like in the U.S., there are a lot of veterans groups suffering, but soldiers who suffer from PTSD. And if you talk to just one of them, he would got a more accurate picture of what it was like. Also, if he had talked to anyone older than him, a teacher or someone who knew more, he probably would have advised him that it's not a good way to go, that he should talk to another soldier. Now, what about that advertiser? What view did he have? Well, the view he had was that I'm just doing my job. We were told to draft the brochure and videos to answer the concerns of parents. And he prepared the pamphlets and the videos to tell parents that the kids would get a job, learn a useful skill they can use after they left the army. Well, in fact, that was a lie. And David said he couldn't. His skill was not applicable to anything. And he lost his pride and he had to start out at the bottom. So that was a lie. But again, the advertising guy thought, well, that's our assignment, so that's what I'm going to do. Someone's got to do this job. Didn't have any moral concern about, in effect, lying. And if David had just been exposed to some Buddhism or talked to a Buddhist monk, he would have been told, do not kill, right? And that's why you don't go into the military. Okay, so I hope you have an idea of what the essay can be structured like. So this time you analyze yourself in the past. If you wanted to analyze yourself in the present, that's okay too. Just didn't want to force yourself to embarrass yourself. So analyze your views in the past. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, one or two. And figure out where you got that view from, who planted it in your head, or how did it get planted in your head. And then analyze it to whether it's a wholesome view or, a wrong view or a right view. Okay. Catherine. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, there was an American tourist who was killed in North Korea. Yeah. But we're going to analyze your views. Right. But that's not your view anyway, so you don't have to worry. Any other questions about the essay? Okay, great. Thank you very much.